Okay, good morning, church. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. And the title of this morning's, go back to the beginning. The title of this morning's sermon is, How is Your Soul? Discovering how to love God with all your soul. Sound interesting? Sound good? Real good? Okay, so Mark 12, verse 29 and 30 says, Jesus replied, the most important commandment is this, listen, O Israel. The Lord our God is the one and only Lord, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And I was thinking about this. If this is the first commandment, and it's pretty important, and it says you should love the Lord your God with all your soul, then one valid question is, how do you love God with all your soul? How do you know if you're doing good or bad in that particular sentence? Love God with all your soul. It's pretty important. It's the first commandment, you know? And probably most of us will say, yes, we're doing the first commandment. Let me ask you, how do you love God with all your soul? Think about it. What would you answer if someone asks you, how do you love God with all your soul? It's the first commandment. It's pretty important, you know? And maybe think about this question. Because the commandments say, love God with all your soul. Think about this question. How is your soul? If I ask you right now, how is your soul? Think about it. And then give me an answer mentally. Think about it. How is your soul? What will you say to me? Start answering my question just mentally. Danny, my soul is? And maybe a valid answer to that question is, what is the soul? You know? Like that can be a good starting point. If I ask you, how's your soul, and then you ask me back, what is the soul? That will be a good starting point of the conversation. Because if you don't even know what's the soul, then how are you going to know how's your soul? And then how do you know if you're loving God with all your soul? You know? And it's the first commandment. It's probably pretty important for us to do it and fulfill it. You know? And God says, and Jesus said, it's the first commandment. Love God with all your soul. How's your soul? I don't even know where is my soul. I don't even know what is my soul. You know? So that could be a good starting question. And then I have some definitions about the soul. This is from Britannica Dictionary. And it says that the soul is the spiritual part of a person that is believed to give life to the body, and in many religions is believed to live forever. That's one definition. And when we talk about the souls and when we see eschatological points or apocalyptical points, they talk about that the soul is the part of the human body because the body is going to be destroyed, but the soul is going to last forever. So I kind of agree with that. You know, the next definition that I have from that dictionary, it says, a person's deeply felt moral and emotional nature. And that's another part of the soul. I read a lot about the soul, and a lot of information says that the soul is the part that contains your emotions. Like it's where your emotions are. It's like your real version with your real emotions. That's your soul. It's the reality of yourself. It's kind of like the real identity that you have behind everything that you can not show or pretend of. So this one says, a person's deeply felt and moral emotions. And then the third definition that I found from this same dictionary, it says that the soul is a human being. So it's kind of like every person, it's a soul, you know? Or every human being is a soul. And it was interesting that definition of that dictionary says a human soul, a human being. And then when we go to Genesis 2, verse 7, it says, then the Lord formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living being. So that was the first part, you know. So he formed a man, but just until he breathed into his nostrils, he became a human being. Before that, it was just a body, I guess, but it was not alive. It sounds like, according to the verse, but when he breathed into his nostrils, then he became a human being. So a person, if a living being or a human being is the person that has emotions and is the person that have the morality and is that reality of yourself, if you take that away from you, then maybe you're just a body. So there's no way for that to happen. There is always going to be there. So your soul, and there's a connection between soul and human being. And we can see that from Genesis. And then I was thinking about, okay, so what means being when it was written in the Old Testament or in the Hebrew Bible? And being is the word nephesh. And nephesh can be translated as the soul, a living being, life, self, person, desire, passion, appetite, and emotion. So again, it's coming back to emotions. It's coming back to who we are as a person, how we feel, how we express ourselves, how we interact when we face different circumstances, how we respond to those things. That's what makes me be a human being, according to this. And then I was thinking about how is that word translated into the New Testament, so into Greek. And that word, nephesh, is translated into psyche. And that word psyche in the Greek means the breath of life, the human soul, the soul as the seat of affections and will, the self, and the human person. And that word psyche is the word that Jesus is using in the New Testament, in Mark. In the Old Testament, when the commandment was first delivered to the people of Israel, it was nephesh. But then Jesus was using the word psyche. And psyche is the same word, it has the same root for the word psyche. You know, have you heard that word in English, psyche? You know, so psyche can be translated as mind, soul, or like person. You know? And it's also the root word for psychology. So that's why when you go to the psychologist, it's because you want to treat something that is going on with your life. And it's most likely something related with emotions. Something that is happening right now at the moment, but most likely something that happened before that is affecting your present, but it's all related with emotions. Or it's maybe something that is in your mind. So that's why you go to the psychologist. So that's the word that we're using when we're talking about the soul, you know? So I would say that is the real version of you, and talking mostly about your emotions, you know? It's the real version of yourself. And I don't know, and perhaps it's maybe not the person that is here right now and this morning. It's maybe it's not the person that is here right now, because maybe the real person, the real soul of you is not here. It's hid somewhere. Maybe in your house, maybe in your bathroom, maybe somewhere in school, maybe somewhere in a coffee place, maybe somewhere behind. You pretend that it's somewhere in the past and it's not here anymore because you're a different person, because you're this kind of person, and you left that person behind, but that person is there, you know? So maybe, perhaps, it's not the person that is here this morning, you know? And with this conversation, what I want you to think is of the question, how is your soul? How is your soul? If that's the first commandment, it's important for me to know how is my soul, so I know if I'm loving God with all my soul. Because maybe the person that is here is just always like happy and enjoyable and looks like everything is just going great, but maybe the real version of that person is sad, maybe depressed, maybe alone, maybe with a lot of anxiety, maybe, I don't know, you know, maybe. I'm just thinking, anxious, etc. Maybe that person is not here. And I want to talk to the real person, to the real version of yourself. Because I don't think God said, love me with all your soul, but the soul that you're pretending to have. I don't think God was saying that. Yeah? He was telling you, love me with all your soul for some reason. Because actually, where are all the emotions coming from? If He formed me, and He breathed, and now I became a human being, a human soul, then it's because some part of His emotions and His feelings were transmitted to us. It was given to me to experience something You know? So how are you? How's your soul? And maybe you don't know, you know? And that could be a good answer, you know? And maybe you don't know because you don't share. You're not used to share about your emotions. Go to the next slide. And this one says there's a data collected from 12,000 people, over 12,000, who took the emotional intelligence test. And they they investigated the attitude, the personality, the behavior of people who consciously avoid sharing their feelings. And I don't know if you're there. I don't know if you're the person that is constantly like expressing and being real about your feelings, or you're the kind of person that you know. And there's actually a term that I'm going to talk about that kind of people. But I don't know if you're the person that is real and authentic with your emotions, or you're the kind of person that hides yourself behind something, you know. And then this is some of the results that they found. It says 52 of the emotional suppressors, they call that people, the people that don't express their feelings, emotional suppressors, have made it a habit to ignore or suppress negative feelings. And that means that if here there's 100 people, 52 of you will be suppressing negative feelings. Like saying, no, that's not happening. Everything is okay. You know, everything is all right. There's no problem. That's not happening to me. I don't feel bad at all. You know, I'm always good. That means that 52 people over here will be thinking that, or will be doing that constantly, because it says it became a habit. That means that it's something that you're doing every day. 56% believe that a person should never show their weakness. And I don't know if you have been there. Or maybe a conversation from your parent, from your dad, hearing you never show your weakness because people are going to take over you. You know, that kind of version maybe. Maybe somewhere 56 people over here, if there was 100, will be thinking that. Go to the next one. 47% assume that people won't welcome or accept their self-expression. And I was thinking about this one, and if this is a place where 47 people think that, even here at the church, then we're doing something not good. We need to do something different so that people feel that they can be who they are, they can express their feelings, and they will be welcome anyway. If that's something that is happening here, maybe we need to do something. 62% don't have anyone they can talk or confide in. So 62 people over here, if there were 100, will say, I don't have anybody to talk to. And that's also something sad, you know? If we are not the people that is there for other people to express their feelings, then we need to think about what we're doing. You know, maybe we're also playing the same game, and maybe we're not being real, and that's why it's not letting other people be real, and we're all playing the same game, you know? And I was thinking about this and about God, because God says, love me with all your soul. And sometimes we're like pretending, this is not happening, this is not good, I'm just good, everything is all right. And we go to Psalm 139, verse 1 through 4, and it says, O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. And that was David talking. And David realized that, Lord, you know everything about me. I don't need to hide anything to you, because you know everything about me. Even before I say it, you know what I'm going to say. Even what I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking. You know where I sit down, when I stand up, you know everything about me. Why would you lie to God? If He is telling you, love me with all your soul, why would you lie to God if He knows everything about you? He knows everything. And maybe another question on this topic is, how often do you have the opportunity to check in with your soul? How often do you have the opportunity to be real? How often do you have the opportunity to talk to someone? How often do you have the opportunity to be real in your house? How often do you have the opportunity to be real at church? How often do you have the opportunity to go and talk to someone and be real and say, I don't like this, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, and this is what's going on? How often do you do that, actually? How often do you have the opportunity to do that? And how important is that for you? You know, to be able to say this. How often, or when was the last time that you had the opportunity to be with someone and be real, not even saying a word, just looking into the people's eyes. When was the last time that you were able to do that? That you were able just to express yourself and be real with yourself and with the other person, not even saying a word, but knowing that you won't be judged, that knowing that you will be respected, knowing that you will be loved. When was the last time that you did that? Oh, no, we don't do that. I'm too that's not for me. Okay, good. Love God with all your soul. And then I have some effects of emotional suppression to go through. It says, suppressing emotions can lead to increased heart rate, higher blood pressure, and elevated levels of stress hormones like cortisol. So it's like sometimes probably people are like feeling sick and they like, I have a pain over here, I have a pain over there, I have a pain over here, and they don't even know that it's something about their soul, their emotions. They think it's something, if I go to the doctor, then he will fix it. And the doctor's like, I don't see anything wrong, but I still have the pain. I don't see anything wrong. They maybe go to psychologist because something is probably going on. And people that suppress emotions, that has the habit to say, no, this is not happening to me. I'm just good. I'm always good. I'm always happy. It can lead to increased heart rate, high blood pressure, and elevated levels of stress and hormones. Chronic suppression is linked to higher levels of anxiety and depression, and unaddressed emotions can accumulate and intensify. So people that chronically, almost never say something about what's going on with their lives, they probably have a lot of anxiety. And sometimes maybe you have a lot of anxiety and you don't even know why. And it's because you don't even know how is your soul. But then if I ask you, are you loving God? You say, yes. How are you loving God with all your soul if you're suppressing your feelings, you're suppressing your emotions? How are you able to love God with all your soul if you cannot be real, if you have to pretend all the time that you are this and you are that and you are always cheer and always this? How can you love God in that way if He knows everything about you? He knows everything about you. But what will people do to me? Oh, so you don't think that He can take care of you? That He can provide what you need? Another one, long-term suppression of emotions can increase the risk of heart disease due to prolonged stress and elevated blood pressure. And the other one says chronic stress from suppressed emotions can weaken the immune system, making individuals more susceptible to illness. So it's like maybe you have been sick for a while and you don't even know what's going on. And you have gone to the doctor because you think that's the way to fix it. But maybe it's a problem with your soul. Maybe something is going on with your soul. And then the next one says it's also associated with gastrointestinal problems, chronic pain, and somatic symptoms disorders. So it's just how you treat your soul can take you even to a level of pain and illness. It's not just a spiritual situation. It can also be a physical situation because your soul is what makes you a human being, according to what we read before. And there's a lot of things connected to that. So, and I was thinking about do I have to be good all the time in order to be a Christian? Because sometimes we have kind of like that impression. Do I have to always be happy and enjoyable and say, no, this is going to be okay, and I'm this and that. This is not happening to me. I'm not feeling sad. I'm just always looking to the future because, this and that. Do I have to be that kind of person in order to be a good Christian? Or can I say at some point, you know what? I don't see hope. I don't see future. And I'm feeling sad. And I'm feeling anxious. And I'm feeling depressed right now. Can I do that at some point and be still a good Christian? Will you say to me, Danny's a good Christian? Maybe probably you will say, how is Danny going to preach to us if he's going through that? I think we need to replace him. And then I will be thinking, if I be real, then I'm going to be fired, and then all this, and then we're all playing the same game. Do I have to be good all the time in order to be a Christian? Can I be angry? Let's talk about anger. And there was a conversation this week with someone, and that person was telling me some feelings that person was feeling during the week. And the persons that person told me was anger and sadness. And I said to that person, my sermon is ready. I'm not gonna mention anger and sadness because you're talking to me. It was already done. Don't say that to me. It was already there. And then I was reading a book this week, and the book says that there are two emotions that can lead you to depression. And the combination of sadness and anger are two emotions that can lead you to depression. And I was like, those are the two emotions that I'm going to talk about. Because this is just an example. Can I be angry and still be a good Christian? Can I be angry and still loving God with all my soul? You know, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 and 27 says, and don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you're still angry. For anger gives a foothold to the devil. And according to this verse, it says, don't sin by letting anger control you. Is angerness the sin? Is feeling the feeling of anger is the sin? That's not what it says. It says, don't sin by letting anger control you. So if anger is controlling you, then that's going to lead you to sin. But if you're just feeling angry, that's okay. There's no verse in the Bible that says you cannot feel angry. But sometimes we try to suppress those kind of feelings. Or, for example, sadness. You know, sadness. Can you be sad and still be a good Christian? Can I be sad and still be a good minister and still be a good preacher? Can I be sad and still do a good job? Matthew 26, 36 to 39 says, then Jesus went with them to the olive grove called Gethsemane, and he said, sit here while I go over there to pray. He took Peter and Zebedee's two sons, James and John, and he became anguished and distressed. He told them, my soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. And let me read that again. It's Jesus. Jesus who is talking here. Jesus, the Son of God. You know? The Son of God. He should have been happy the whole time. He was the Son of God. He should have been just enjoyable and funny the whole time because he was the Son of God. You know? He had everything. He was everything. He was in the beginning. He was there at that point. But he said to them, my soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. I mean, he was in a really low point to say that. When was the last time you said that? That your soul was so bad to the point of death. And this is Jesus. This is Jesus being real. He went on a little farther and bowed his face to the ground, praying, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet, I want your will to be done, not mine. And I was thinking about this verse and about Jesus doing this. And I think he's encouraging us to be real. And encouraging us to love God with all our souls. Number one that I see here is that he could have gone by himself and deal with his emotions by himself. Why? Because he was God. And because he was totally connected with God. He was God and he was the Son of God. So he could handle that by himself. But he didn't do it by himself. He took two. Or three? Three. Yeah. Peter, James, and John. He took three people. But he could have done it by himself. You know? Or he could have just hide his emotions. I don't know, everything's going to be okay, guys. Let me just go there and do a prayer. This is what God. He could have done that. It was like, guys, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. Something's going to happen tonight, but don't worry. And then, God. He could have done that. But he took three. He took three friends. And then something else that he did that caught my attention is that he told them how he was feeling. He didn't have to do that. Why he did it? Isn't that actually something important to do? Like to take people with me to take some friends, and probably his closest, and then talk to them how you're feeling? Is that something important? Do you think so? When was the last time you did that? Oh, I don't need that. I'm good to God. Jesus was with God. Jesus was God, actually. He didn't need to do that. But he took 3, and then he told them, my soul is crushed. How is that your master is telling you that? How are you going to handle that? If I tell you that right now, you'll be like scared. Like, so who's going to preach next Sunday? How is this going to happen? How are we going to handle this? You know? But his master, the Son of God, he's telling them, my soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. And then something else that he did, he took his 3 friends, he told them how he was feeling, and he was really bad. He was a really low point. And then he went and prayed to God. That was something that he did. He could have handled that by himself because he was the Son of God and he was God. But he went and prayed to God. But something also that caught my attention is what he asked for. In that very low point, what he was actually asking God was not to do his will. He knew it wasn't his will to not go to the cross. And he was asking God, could you please take this cup away from me? Even Jesus, in that very low point, started asking for something crazy. Because what if we got to the point where he said, like, you know what? I cannot even handle this. I'm not going to do it. Because that's how you react when you're in really low points. That's how you answer to life. When you're just good, it's okay. You can think about things and you can answer things in different ways. But when you're really low, because you haven't suppressing your emotions, because you don't even have someone to talk to, because you think you're going to be rejected, because you think that's not a good Christian, because you think whatever you think, when you're in that really low point, that's when you start taking crazy decisions. And even Jesus did it. Not even once, he did it 3 times. He was in that really low point that he went to God to pray for something that he knew it wasn't good to do. He knew that the perfect good to do was to go on the cross and die because he was going to rise again. But he was in that low point that he was even asked God something that he knew it wasn't going to be approved and it wasn't going to be okay, not even for him and not for the humanity. But he took 3 people. He told them how he was feeling, and he talked to God. And he also talked to God in reality. He was real with God. This is what I'm feeling, and this is what I'm thinking. Can you still be real with God and be honest with God about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and still be a good Christian? I think Jesus was a good Christian at that point, if he was Christian. He was telling God to do something that he knew it wasn't his will. But sometimes we want to just hide those things because we're this and because we're that, because we're good Christians, because we don't go through that. And Jesus is showing us that it's part of who we are. That is part of our identity. It is part of who we have. It's what we have. It was given by God when he breathed to us. Emotions, feelings, skills, talents, opportunities. All this, it was given to you. Why are we just doing that? You think it's going to be helpful? You think it's going to let you love God with all your soul if you keep doing that? Even Jesus did it. Even Jesus did something. He could have just said like, you know what, never mind, it's not happening. I'm good. Let's go to the cross. But he was like, I need to do something about this. I need to express it. I need to say something. How often are you Jesus in that story? And how often have you repeated in the story? And we can talk more about that because I was thinking, well, he talked to them, but then they went away. And Peter betrayed him. But he was the person that took him, and he was the person that talked to him. But we can talk about that, But the point is that Jesus, knowing even that he was not like the best friend because he was going to betray him, he was able to express. He was able to say, come with me. Let me be real with you. Let me go to God. And they were sleeping. He said, like, stay awake. And then he came back with his lowest point, and they were sleeping. It's like, how many times you feel frustrated because you don't even have people to talk to? Or because you think, they're not even my friends. They're going to betray me. They're going to do this, and they're going to do that. And you're like, hey, please pray for me and be there for me. And they're not there for you. They're sleeping like Jesus. when he came back, they were sleeping, and he went back, and he did it again. He went back, they were sleeping. But that didn't stop Jesus to be real and to be honest and to say, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling depressed to the point of death. And I'm going to ask God to do something that I know is not good. But I'm going to be real. It's the real me right now. And it's okay. You think God was like, I don't like that version of you. Probably God was like, come here, Jesus. I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry. You know? He probably felt it that way in a probably more real way because he was totally connected to God. You think God was like, don't, bad Christian, go and think about something and give thanks to the Lord for he is good. You know, I don't know. You think God was that? I think God was like, come Jesus, come with me. Remember that I'm here with you. You know? Remember that I'm going to be with you. Remember that I love you. And thank you for being real. Thank you for being honest with me. If you're not honest with me, then who are you going to be honest with? And I think that's an invitation for us as well. And I was thinking about something as well, just to go to the end. And perhaps you're in that mood of like, I don't share my feelings, I don't do this and I don't do that, because somebody did something wrong to you. And I understand that. You know, if you went through something bad, because you were trying to be honest and to be real, you're going to try to hide that because you're going to be in defensive mode. You don't want to go back to whatever damaged you or make you feel really sad or bad. You don't want to go back there. And that's why you don't express feelings. Let me read Matthew 10, verse 28. It says, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. And I was thinking about this idea that it's interesting that Jesus said, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Be afraid of the one who can destroy. And there are two different words here. There's one person that wants to kill, and there's another person that can destroy. Kill doesn't mean destroy, because kill leads to death, and death leads to resurrection, right? But destroy is destroy. You're done. No more. And Jesus said, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. And I was thinking about this verse also, because sometimes people have done really bad things to us that they can actually, maybe literally or metaphorically speaking, kill my soul in some way, in some capacity. And maybe if you're here and someone killed your soul, because something bad really happened, and that's why you don't express your feelings, that's why you don't even know how's your soul, that's why you don't know how to love God with all your soul, because something really bad happened, something to you, something to a relative, something happened in life that make you feel that you cannot be real because your soul is actually like killed. Let me tell you that death leads to resurrection. After death, there is resurrection. Even if somebody killed your soul, there is hope because there will be resurrection. In order for resurrection to happen, we need death. So if you're here and your soul is kind of dead, it's kind of like to that really low point because of whatever happened to you, there is hope because there is resurrection in the horizon. And in order for resurrection to happen, we need death. So if your soul at this point is in that mood of death, then there's hope. Because Ephesians 1:19 and 20 says, I also pray that you will understand the incredible greatness of God's power for us who believe in. This is the same mighty power that raised Christ from the dead. And Paul is telling you, I want you to understand that the same power that rose Jesus from the dead is the same power that is operating right now in your life. If he rose Jesus from the dead, he can resurrect whatever you have dead right now in your life. It can be your life itself. It can be your soul itself. It can be some emotions. It can be the capacity to see some kind of future. It can be anything that is dead for you. The same power that rose Jesus from the dead is here to bring whatever you have dead to life. And he can do that. It's the same power. If we are here, we believe that Jesus rose from the dead. Amen? And the same power that rose Jesus from the dead is the same power that is operating in you right now. It's the same power that wants you to be real. It's the same power that wants you to be open and honest and come to the Father, and he will take care of you. It's the same power that can take to life something that is already dead. It's the same power that rose Jesus from the dead. It's the same power that is here working in you. And it's the same power that has sent Jesus to die for us and show the love of God. It's the same power. So it's the same power. So let me ask you again, how's your soul? How's your soul? God bless you.